Maya Chen pressed her face against the cold window of the tiny apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Outside, snow fell like tiny white feathers. Her heart felt heavy like a rock inside her chest. Everything in her world had turned upside down in just a few weeks. Welcome to JAMAL'S Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and like my video. Now let's jump back into my story. I'm sure you'll love it if you keep listening till the end. Maya, can you help me? A soft voice called from the bedroom. The 25-year-old woman took a deep breath and fixed her long black hair. She had become very good at hiding her sad feelings behind a fake smile. But today, even pretending to be happy felt too hard. Yes, Papa, I'm coming right now, she answered, trying to sound happy. Her father's room smelled like old medicine and sickness. Thomas Chen lay in his bed, looking thin and tired. His face was pale like paper. The sickness had been eating away at him for many months. The family had almost no money left to help him get better. I made you some warm soup, Maya said. She put the bowl on the small table next to his bed and sat down carefully. How do you feel today, Papa? Don't worry about me, sweet girl. Her father tried to smile, but it looked like his face hurt. Where is your sister? Where is Lily? Lily went to meet those men, Maya said quietly. Thomas closed his eyes tight, and a tear rolled down his cheek. Oh no, Maya. How did our life become like this? I told Lily not to borrow money from those bad people. I told her so many times. Maya squeezed her father's hand gently. She remembered that terrible day 2 months ago when Lily came home with a big pile of money. It was money for their father's medicine that they couldn't buy on their own. Back then, it seemed like someone had answered their prayers. But the loan sharks were mean people who didn't forgive anyone who owed them money. The apartment door suddenly burst open with a loud bang. Both Maya and her father jumped in surprise. Lily Chen stumbled into the room, and Maya knew right away that the meeting had gone very badly. Her older sister's face was white like snow, and her hands were shaking like leaves in the wind. Lily, what did those men say? Maya asked. The woman fell into a chair and covered her face with both hands. The room became very quiet. The only sound was the old clock on the wall going tick-tock, tick-tock. They gave us 7 days. Lily finally spoke. Her voice sounded rough and broken. 7 days to give back all the money. Every single penny. And if we don't? Maya whispered. She already knew in her heart that the answer would be something terrible. They will take our apartment. And that's not even the worst part of it. What else could be worse? Maya felt her whole body go cold with fear. Lily lifted her eyes to look at her younger sister. Her eyes were full of pain and shame. Their boss is a very rich man. He saw you one time when he came to our door. He said he will forget about all the money we owe him, but only if you agree to one thing. He wants you to marry him. Maya felt like the floor had disappeared under her feet. She heard the words, but her brain didn't want to understand them. Are you being serious right now? Lily, please tell me this is just a mean joke. I would never ever joke about this. Lily's voice cracked like broken glass. Maya, I would never ask this terrible thing from you. But they said something even worse. They said if we don't pay the money back, Papa won't live to see next month. They promised to hurt him. Thomas gasped loudly, and Maya felt like she had turned into a stone statue. Many thoughts flew through her mind like scared birds, each one more frightening than the one before. Who is this man? She asked. Her voice sounded strangely calm, even to her own ears. His name is Victor Kane, Lily spoke without looking up at Maya. He's almost 55 years old. People say he was in a bad car crash and can barely walk now. But he has more money than we can even imagine. He's very powerful too. Her sister's voice got very quiet. We have no other choice, Maya. Please try to understand. The next few days felt like walking through thick fog. Maya did all her regular jobs. She cooked food, cleaned the house, and took care of Papa. But inside her head, a big storm of feelings was raging. She felt angry at Lily for being foolish. She felt sorry for Papa who was so sick. She was scared of what would happen in her future. And worst of all, she felt guilty because deep down, she blamed her family for putting her in this horrible situation. On the third day, a man came to their apartment. He was sent by Victor Kane. The man was tall and strong, maybe 35 years old. He wore a very expensive suit that looked strange and out of place in their poor, messy apartment. Maya almost wanted to laugh, but nothing was funny. "My name is Robert West," he said. He gave Maya a small business card. "I work for Mr. Kane. He asked me to bring you this." Robert handed her a thick envelope. Maya's hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a picture of a huge mansion that looked like a castle from fairy tales. There was also a short letter written in fancy handwriting. "This will be your new home. I promise you will have everything you need. You will never want for anything ever again," Maya read out loud. "Mr. Kane is a man who always keeps his word," Robert continued. He watched Maya's face carefully to see how she would react. He understands this situation is very strange and unusual. But he's ready to take care of not just you but your whole family too. Your father will see the best doctors in the whole world. He can even get treatment in another country if he needs to. And what does Mr. Kane want from me in return?" Maya's voice came out colder than she expected. "I need to know the complete truth. What does he really want?" Robert West waited for a moment before answering. He was choosing his words very carefully. Victor Kane is almost 55 years old. He's very sick. After the car crash, his legs don't work right anymore. He walks with great difficulty, using special canes and a helper. The doctors tell him he has maybe 1 year left to live. Maybe 2 years if he's lucky. He has no children, no family members at all. He is completely alone. The man stopped talking for a second. He wants to spend the rest of his life not by himself. He needs someone to be his companion, a wife who will stay by his side until the end comes. "So I'm supposed to be like a nurse?" Maya couldn't hide the bitter feeling in her voice. "A wife," Robert corrected her. "A real legal wife. After he dies, you will get everything he owns. It's a very big fortune, believe me. Your family will never have money problems again for the rest of their lives." Maya looked toward the bedroom where her father was lying down. She could see him through the open door. Their eyes met, and in Papa's eyes, Maya saw a silent plea. She also saw that he was ready to give up everything, even his own life, so that his daughter wouldn't have to sacrifice herself. "I have some conditions," Maya said. She was surprised by how strong and firm her own voice sounded. "My father's treatment starts right now today. My sister's debt gets erased completely, immediately. And I want to meet him first before any wedding. I want to meet Mr. Kane face to face. Amar. Kane would rather not show himself until after the wedding," Robert started to say. But Maya cut him off quickly. "Those are my conditions. Either I see him before the wedding or there is no deal at all." "Nothing." The assistant pulled out his phone and walked over to the window. He talked quietly to someone on the other end. Maya heard little pieces of what he said. "She won't agree. Understand?" "Yes, okay, I'll tell her." Finally, Robert came back to where Maya was standing. "Mr. Kane says yes to your conditions. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a car will come to pick you up. It will take you to his estate so you can meet him." He handed Maya another envelope, even thicker than the first one. "This is money to start your father's treatment right away. You'll get the rest of the money after you and Mr. Kane are officially married." After Robert left, Maya opened the second envelope. Inside was more money than she had ever seen in her entire life, more than she had ever even dreamed about. Her sister Lily, who was looking over Maya's shoulder, turned pale white. "Oh my goodness, Maya. Maybe we shouldn't do this. We'll find another way somehow." "We have to. No, Lily," Maya said firmly. "We won't find another way. We've tried everything already and we're out of time. Tomorrow I'll go meet this man. And then I'll decide what to do." Maya couldn't fall asleep that whole night. She lay in her bed, staring up at the ceiling, thinking about everything. She thought about how fast life can change. Just 1 month ago, she was a normal girl with normal dreams. She wanted to find a good job, meet a kind person, and start her own family someday. Now she was getting ready to sell herself like an object to save her family. A shiny black car arrived exactly at 2 o'clock the next day. Maya put on her nicest dress. It was a simple dark blue one that she had been saving for special occasions. The situation felt so strange and wrong. She was dressing up fancy to meet the man who had basically bought her like you buy things at a store. Her father cried as he said goodbye to her. Lily stood far away in the corner, unable to look Maya in the eyes. Maya hugged Papa tight and whispered in his ear, "Everything is going to be okay, I promise you." But it was a lie, and they both knew it deep down. The drive to Victor Kane's estate took about an hour and 15 minutes. The car drove out of the busy city, going along small roads between empty fields and groups of trees. Finally, they turned through tall iron gates decorated with gold designs. Beyond the gates, the property opened up. It looked more like a beautiful park than someone's yard. There were perfectly cut grass lawns, water fountains with statues, and paths lined with big old trees. In the middle of all this beauty stood the mansion. It was a 4-story building with tall white columns and balconies everywhere. Maya couldn't breathe for a moment because it was so amazing. Robert West met her at the front entrance. "Welcome," he said with a tight smile. "Mr. Kane is waiting for you in the music room. Please follow me closely." Inside, the mansion was even more incredible than the outside. There were shiny marble floors, crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and paintings in gold frames all over the walls. Maya felt like she had walked into a museum. Their footsteps echoed in the huge, empty corridors. The music room was on the 2nd floor. Robert opened the big wooden door and stepped to the side, letting Maya go in first. The room was enormous, with walls covered in dark red fabric. A grand piano sat in one corner. Near the tall window, sitting in a wheelchair with his back turned to the door, was a man. "Mr. Kane, your visitor is here," Robert announced. Then he left, closing the door behind him with a soft click. A heavy, uncomfortable silence filled the room. The man didn't turn around, and Maya didn't know what to do. Should she walk closer or should she wait where she was? Finally, she took a few small steps forward. "Hello," she said. Her voice came out quieter than she wanted it to. "Come closer to me," a deep voice commanded. "I want to see you properly." Maya slowly walked around the wheelchair and stopped right in front of it. She saw a man whose face was hidden behind a strange leather mask that covered the top half of his face and one eye. She could only see his chin, which had gray stubble, and his thin lips. His left arm lay completely still on the armrest. His right hand held onto a silver walking cane. "Don't be scared of me," he said with a sad smile. He noticed how Maya had jumped back. "The car crash didn't spare my body or my face. The left side of me is paralyzed. Doesn't move at all. My face is twisted and ugly. It's not a pleasant sight, I know. That's why I wear this mask." Maya swallowed hard. His voice was strong and clear, which didn't match the image of a weak, sick patient. "Please sit down," he said, nodding toward a chair across from him. "I imagine you have many questions for me." "Why me?" Maya blurted out as she sat down. "You have so much money. You could hire anyone to help you. You could buy any company in the world. Why are you forcing me to marry you?" "Why?" Victor Kane was quiet for several seconds. He seemed to be thinking hard about his answer. "Because you won't come to me because of greed," he finally said. "You're not here because you want my money for yourself to buy fancy things. You're here to save your family. That tells me a lot about who you are as a person. It tells me about your character." He paused and took a breath. "My whole entire life, I've been surrounded by people who wanted something from me. They wanted my money, my business connections, or my power and influence. Not a single person stayed with me just to be with me, just because they liked me as a person. And you think I'll be with you just to be with you?" Maya couldn't stop herself from saying, "You just said it yourself. I'm only here because of my family. Yes, that's true. But at least you're being honest about why you're here, he replied. And I know you won't betray me or trick me. Your loyalty to your family is like a guarantee that you'll keep your part of our bargain. What part exactly? Maya asked. What do you really want from me? Victor Kane struggled to push himself up from the wheelchair. He leaned heavily on his cane. Maya could see he could barely stand up. His left leg dragged across the floor when he tried to walk. Just be near me, he said in a tired voice. Eat meals with me. Talk to me about anything. Read me books when my eyes get too tired. Make me feel like I have a family, like I'm not dying completely alone in this big empty house. He turned toward the window. That's all I'm asking for. Maya looked at the bent figure standing by the window. She felt a strange mix of two feelings, pity and disgust. She felt pity because he was a dying, lonely man with no one who cared about him. She felt disgust because he was using his money to buy company instead of earning it, without even asking what she wanted. And if I say no? She asked softly. If I stand up right now and walk out that door? Victor Kane turned around slowly. His one visible eye flashed with something that looked like surprise. Then the money I gave for your father's treatment will have to be returned to me. And your sister's debt to those dangerous men will still be there, waiting. I won't hold you here by force or lock you up. The choice has always been yours, Maya. She stood up from the chair and walked over to the window, standing next to him. From up here, there was a beautiful view of the garden below. It was glowing in the golden light of sunset. Somewhere beyond those high walls was her old life. The cramped apartment, the sick father, Lily feeling guilty all the time, being poor and having no hope for the future. When is the wedding supposed to happen? She asked without taking her eyes off the window. In 1 week. Small, quiet ceremony. Just the legal paperwork that has to be done. No big party or celebration. Unless you don't want that, I don't mind, Maya said. Then she turned to face him. But I have one more condition I forgot to mention. I'm listening that I want to keep visiting my family regularly whenever I want. And I want them to be able to come visit me here when Papa feels well enough to travel. Victor Kane nodded his head slowly. Of course, absolutely. This is your home now. You can invite anyone you want to visit. Anyone at all. He took a few difficult steps toward the door. Each step looked like it caused him pain. Robert will show you all the rooms. You can choose any bedroom you like except for mine. Your belongings and clothes will be brought here tomorrow. Wait. Maya stopped him. I haven't said my final yes yet. I haven't agreed. The man turned around, and his lips curved into something like a smile. But you've already made your decision in your heart. I can see it in your eyes. He opened the door. Welcome to the golden cage, Maya. When the door closed behind him, Maya sank back down into the chair. She covered her face with both hands. There were no tears left. She felt like she had cried them all out during the last few days. Only emptiness and bone-deep tiredness remained. Robert West appeared about 10 minutes later. He led her through the mansion on a tour. There were so many rooms that Maya lost count after a while. Living rooms, dining rooms, a room with a pool table, a gym, a room full of plants that looked like a jungle. The bedrooms were on the 3rd floor. It was a whole section of rooms with very high ceilings and enormous windows. This entire part of the estate is yours to use however you want, Robert explained. Mr. Kane lives in rooms on the 1st floor. The stairs are too hard for him to climb. You can pick any bedroom you like best. Maya stopped in front of a room at the corner of the building. The windows showed views of the garden on one side and dark woods on the other side. The room was bright and open. The furniture was nice but not too fancy. This one, she said, pointing. An excellent choice. Robert approved. Tomorrow I'll make arrangements to bring all your personal things here. And now, please allow me to take you to dinner. Mr. Kane is expecting you in the small dining room at 6 o'clock. Left alone, Maya walked to the window and pressed her forehead against the cool glass. Down below, a gardener was cutting bushes into shapes. It was a peaceful, ordinary scene. But inside Maya, Everything was churning and spinning like a storm. She remembered Victor Kane's words about the golden cage. He had described it so perfectly. Everything was here in this place. Money, comfort, safety, security. Everything except freedom. She was a prisoner. Just in a very pretty prison. 6 o'clock that evening, Maya went down to the small dining room. The small room was actually as big as their entire apartment back home. A long table was set with fancy plates for two people sitting at opposite ends. Very far apart, Victor Kane was already sitting in his place at the head of the table. The leather mask still covered half his face. "Please sit down," he said, gesturing to the seat far away from him. Dinner passed in uncomfortable silence. Maya barely touched the food on her plate, even though the dishes looked and smelled delicious. Victor Kane ate slowly and awkwardly, using only his right hand to hold his fork. "Tell me about yourself," he finally spoke. "What did you do for work? What do you like to do for fun?" "I worked at a bookstore," Maya replied shortly. "I love to read books." "What kind of books do you enjoy?" "Old classics mostly. Also mystery stories. I read anything I can get my hands on, really. We have a huge library here," he noted. "You can take any book you want. I used to love reading too. But my eyesight is getting bad now. It's hard to see the words. It would be nice if you would read to me out loud sometimes." Maya nodded without looking at him directly. After dinner ended, Maya went back to her room. She stood by the window for a long time, looking out into the darkness. The stars in the night sky seemed far away and cold, just like her new life felt. She tried to imagine living here forever, that this huge mansion was really her home. But the thought wouldn't settle properly in her mind. Felt impossible. In the morning, Maya was woken up by someone knocking on the door. A woman around 60 years old stood there. She wore a plain gray dress and had her hair pulled back tight. "Good morning," she said with a slight accent. "My name is Margaret. I am the head housekeeper here. Mr. Kane asked me to tell you that breakfast is served at 8 o'clock. Your belongings arrived early this morning. I had them put in your dressing room." Maya walked into the dressing room and stopped at the doorway, completely shocked. Her one small suitcase of clothes was lost among racks and racks of new dresses, suits and shoes. Everything looked expensive and high quality. It was all clearly chosen to be exactly her size. "Where did all this come from?" she asked, feeling confused and overwhelmed. "Kane arranged for it all," Margaret said with a small shrug. "He said a wife should look appropriate. If anything doesn't fit right or you don't like it, just tell me and we'll exchange it for something better." Maya ran her hand over a beautiful silk dress. She could have only dreamed about owning clothes like this before. Now she had an entire closet full of them. But none of it made her happy or excited. Every single dress was a reminder of the price she had paid to get them. The next several days blurred together into a dull routine. Breakfasts and dinners with Victor Kane. Having polite but stiff conversations. Long hours in the library where she would read books aloud to him. Taking lonely walks through the garden by herself. Victor Kane didn't demand that she be with him every single minute. He gave her freedom to do what she wanted. But that freedom was fake. She was still trapped in a cage, even if the cage was beautiful and covered in gold. Maya was surprised to notice that Victor never once tried to touch her or get physically close. He always kept his distance, staying polite and proper. Sometimes she would catch him looking at her with his one visible eye. There was a sad, longing look in it. But he would always look away quickly. On the fourth evening, while Maya was reading him a story, he suddenly interrupted her. "Are you unhappy here?" It wasn't really a question. Maya closed the book and looked at him. "What did you expect? That I'd be jumping for joy?" "No," he sighed heavily. "But I hope that with time you would at least get used to living here. Get used to this life. Get used to selling myself." Bitterness broke through Maya's voice. "You saved your family," he argued back. "It's not selling yourself. It's making a sacrifice. There's a difference. The difference is very small." Maya stood up from her chair. "May I leave? I'm tired. Victor Kane nodded sadly. Maya headed for the door, but his voice stopped her before she left. Maya, I know what you think of me. And maybe you're completely right to think that way. But please believe me when I say, if I had had any other choice. He didn't finish the sentence. Good night. She left without saying anything back. In the hallway, she ran into Robert West. How is Mr. Kane feeling? The assistant asked. Tired, Maya answered shortly. She tried to walk past him, but he stopped her with another question. Oh, you know why he wears that mask all the time? He said his face is paralyzed from the car accident. Robert looked at her in a strange way. Yes, of course. That's the reason. The only reason. He nodded and walked away, leaving Maya feeling confused. What did he mean by that? What was he trying to tell her? The wedding happened exactly 1 week later, just like Victor Kane had promised. It was a tiny ceremony at the courthouse with no guests or party. Only the two of them, Robert West as a witness, and some old woman Maya had never seen before. Victor Kane arrived wearing a formal black suit. He leaned on his cane. The mask still covered half of his face. Maya wore a simple white dress, one of the new ones from her closet. She couldn't make herself look in the mirror before leaving. She couldn't bear to see herself. The ceremony was short and joyless. When the official person said they were now husband and wife, Victor Kane didn't try to kiss her like people usually do at weddings. He simply took her hand. His palm felt surprisingly warm and dry. He whispered, "Thank you for doing this." Maya didn't answer. There was a big lump in her throat that stopped her from saying any words. After the wedding registration, Robert West drove them back to the estate. During the ride, Maya stared out the window. She didn't see the scenery passing by. She realized she was now officially Mrs. Kane. She suddenly thought that she didn't even know her husband's full name. "What is your last name?" she asked, breaking the silence in the car. Victor Kane smiled sadly. "Kane. And now it's your last name too. It sounds cold, doesn't it? Like something sharp and hard. Not exactly a symbol of love and happiness." He didn't finish what he was going to say. But Maya understood. They had a business deal, a contract. But they definitely didn't have love. That evening, Margaret appeared in Maya's room carrying a tray of food. "Mr. Kane asked me to tell you that dinner will be in his private quarters tonight," the housekeeper said. She placed the tray on a small table. "He's expecting you at 8 o'clock this evening in his quarters?" Maya repeated. Her heart started beating faster. "But we always eat dinner in the dining room. Tonight is different. It's a special day." Margaret avoided looking at Maya. "It's your wedding day after all." When Margaret left, Maya sat down on her bed. Her hands started shaking. She knew this moment would have to come eventually. But she still felt completely unprepared for it at 8 o'clock. Maya gathered all her courage and went down to the first floor. Victor Kane's rooms were in the east wing of the mansion, a part where she had never been before. The hallway was dimly lit. Shadows danced on the walls like ghosts. She knocked on the big door. "Come in," his voice called out from inside. The room was surprisingly simple and plain, not fancy like the rest of the house. There was a large bed with a dark blue cover, a few comfortable chairs, some bookshelves, and a fireplace with a fire burning. A small table was set up for dinner for 2 people, with candles, wine, and delicious-looking food. Victor Kane stood by the fireplace. He still wore his mask. He turned when he heard her footsteps. "Don't be afraid," he said, as if he could read her worried thoughts. "I just wanted to have dinner together. Traditionally, married couples spend their first night together. But I understand that would be too much to ask of you right now." Maya felt a huge wave of relief wash over her. But then she immediately felt shame for being relieved. She sat down at the table, not looking into his eyes. "I wanted to talk about the rules for how we'll live together," Victor Kane continued. He sat down in the chair across from her. "You're free to do whatever you want. Visit friends. Travel to places. The money is yours to use. I'm not going to control you or tell you what to do." "Then why did you do all this?" Maya couldn't hold back her confusion. If you don't need a real wife, why bother getting married at all? Victor Kane poured wine into 2 glasses. I need companionship, he said simply. Someone who will be here in this house with me. Someone I can talk to in the evenings. Someone who will be nearby when the end comes for me. He fell silent, staring into the fire. You can't imagine how terrifying it is to think about dying completely alone. There was so much sadness in his voice that Maya felt an unexpected stab of pity for him. Tell me about yourself, she asked. Who are you really? Where did all your money come from? Why are you alone? Victor Kane was silent for a long time. Then he took a sip of his wine. It's a long and sad story. I'm sure you don't want to hear it, but I do want to hear it, Maya insisted. If we're husband and wife now, I should at least know who I'm living with under the same roof. Victor Kane leaned back in his chair. His fingers gripped the wine glass tightly. The firelight made strange shadows on his body, making him look almost like a ghost from the past. I was born into a very poor family, he began. My mother worked 3 jobs to feed my sister and me. I understood from the time I was very young that if I wanted to have anything in life, I'd have to fight for it myself. I studied hard in school. I went to college. I worked wherever I could find jobs. He paused. And then I got lucky. I started a small business selling things. It grew bigger and bigger. After 10 years I was rich. After 20 years I was very, very rich. Were you alone that whole time? Maya asked. No. Bitterness came into his voice. I was married. Her name was Sarah. She was beautiful and smart. I thought I loved her. We got married when I was 30. We had a son together. Maya's heart jumped. A son. So you had a family. What happened to them? I was too busy with work, Victor Kane said. He stared into the fire without blinking. Constant business trips, meetings, deals, making more money. I thought I was providing for them, giving them the best life. But really I was just gone all the time. Sarah felt lonely and sad. A family home here, a place where I could bring my grandchildren someday if I ever had any. Foolish dream, right? He smiled bitterly. And then the car crash happened to me too. The doctors said it was because of stress, working too hard and getting old. I found myself trapped in this broken body where half of it doesn't work anymore. Maya looked at him carefully, and something changed inside her heart. This wasn't just a rich old man who bought a young wife. This was a broken human being who had lost everything that mattered in his whole life. That's why you wear the mask, she said quietly. It's not just because of the paralysis, is it? Victor Kane nodded slowly. I don't want to see pity in people's eyes. It's bad enough that I see it in my own mirror every single morning. They sat together in silence. The only sound was the wood crackling and popping in the fireplace. Maya thought about everything she had just heard. Her own pain and anger hadn't disappeared. But now she understood that Victor was suffering too, maybe even more than she was. The room I picked, she said suddenly. Robert started to say something about someone living there before. Was it for David? Victor Kane flinched like someone had hit him. Yes, he managed to say. I had it prepared and decorated for my son's visits. I kept hoping he would come see me someday. But he never came, not even once. After he died, I ordered that room to be locked. Nobody went in there for almost 8 years. Should I choose a different room? Maya offered. I don't want to make you sad. No, he answered firmly. No, please stay there. Let there be life in that room again. Let it not be an empty memorial anymore. He struggled to stand up, leaning hard on his cane. It's late now. You should go get some rest. Maya stood up too, but she stopped at the door. Mr. Kane, thank you for telling me your story. I truly am sorry for everything that happened to you. It's all in the past now. He waved his hand dismissively. But Maya could see how tense his whole body was. Good night, Maya. Maya went up to her room and couldn't fall asleep for hours. Victor Kane's story kept playing in her head over and over. She imagined little David who lived in these walls only in his father's dreams. The boy who never knew he had a home waiting for him. In the morning, Maya woke up to the sound of rain hitting the windows. Gray drops drummed against the glass, turning the garden outside into a blurry painting. She got dressed and went down for breakfast. But Victor wasn't sitting at the table. "He's not feeling well today," Margaret explained while pouring coffee for Maya. "The doctor is with him right now. He should feel better by lunchtime." "Is it serious?" Maya asked. She was surprised by her own worry and concern. "It's a flare-up," Margaret shook her head. "It happens when he gets too stressed or does too much. Yesterday was hard for him. The wedding, talking about his past, all those painful memories." Maya felt guilty. "Can I go see him?" Margaret raised her eyebrows, looking surprised. "Of course you can. You're his wife now. Just wait until the doctor finishes checking him." Maya spent the morning in the library trying to read a book. But her thoughts kept going back to Victor. Around noon, Robert West came to find her. "Mr. Kane is asking if you would come see him, if you don't mind." She followed Robert to Victor's quarters. Victor Kane was lying in his bed, looking pale and weak. But he still wore the mask covering his face. When he saw Maya, he tried to sit up. "No, lie still," Maya said gently. She gestured for him to stay down. "How do you feel?" "I'll survive," he smiled weakly. "I'm sorry I ruined your first day of being married." "Don't be silly." Maya pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. "You need to rest. Maybe I should read something to you." Victor looked at her with surprise. "You don't have to do that." "I know I don't have to," Maya said. "But I want to." She picked up a book from his nightstand. It was a collection of adventure stories. She began reading out loud. Her voice was calm and soothing, filling the quiet room. Victor Kane closed his eyes, and for the first time in days, his face looked peaceful and relaxed. She read for about an hour. When she finished one story, she saw that Victor had fallen asleep. She quietly stood up to leave. But his voice stopped her. "Don't go yet. Please stay." Maya turned around. He hadn't opened his eyes. But his hand was reaching out slightly toward her. "Just sit here with me. I feel safer when you're nearby." She came back to the chair and sat down. They stayed like that in comfortable silence. The rain outside got heavier, becoming a storm. The fire crackled in the fireplace. And in that peaceful quiet, Maya suddenly realized she didn't feel as trapped as before. Something had shifted and changed after last night's conversation. That evening, when Victor was feeling better, they ate dinner together in his room. He didn't eat much, but he seemed happier. "Your father," he said between bites. "Robert arranged everything with the hospital. He'll be brought in for a complete checkup the day after tomorrow. The very best specialists will see him." "Thank you." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. "You can't imagine how much this means to me and my family." "I can imagine," he said, taking a sip of water. "Family is the most precious and important thing in the world. I learned that lesson too late. But you still have time. You have your whole life ahead of you." "You do too," Maya said firmly. "Doctors can be wrong sometimes." Victor Kane smiled sadly. "My dear Maya, I've already made peace with dying. But I'm grateful that fate sent you to me, even if it's just for the end." They stayed up late together, talking about many different things. Victor shared funny stories from when he was young. Maya told him about the bookstore where she worked and all the books she loved reading. With every passing minute, the invisible wall between them grew thinner and thinner. When Maya finally went back to her room, it was past midnight. She lay in her bed and closed her eyes. But sleep wouldn't come. Victor Kane's voice echoed in her head. "I feel safer when you're nearby." Such simple words. But they were so full of loneliness and longing. Then she heard a scream. It was loud and full of pain. Maya jumped out of bed and ran down the stairs without thinking. The scream came from Victor's quarters. It sounded desperate and agonizing. She threw the door open and froze. Victor Kane was lying on the floor next to his bed. He was curled up in pain. The mask had fallen off to the side, showing part of his face. His walking cane lay on the floor next to him. "Mr. Kane." Maya rushed over to him. "What happened? What's wrong?" "I fell." He forced the words out through clenched teeth. "I tried to get to the bathroom. My legs just gave out completely." "Don't move at all," she said. She grabbed the phone from his nightstand and called Robert's number. The assistant answered after several rings. His voice sounded sleepy. "Come right now and call the doctor. Mr. Kane has fallen." While they waited, Maya carefully helped Victor sit up. She leaned his back against the bed frame. Victor Kane was breathing hard. His face showed how much pain he was in. The mask was now hanging loose from its strap. His face was completely exposed. Maya saw him fully for the first time. The left side was paralyzed just like he said. The eyelid drooped down. The corner of his mouth was frozen. But that's not what made Maya catch her breath. Even through all the signs of sickness, through the gray hair and wrinkles, she could see he had once been handsome. There was something kind in his features. "Don't look at me." Victor Kane tried to turn his head away. "Please don't look." "It's okay," Maya said gently. She stopped him from turning away. "You think I'm squeamish. I'm not." She took a towel from a nearby chair and carefully wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Where does it hurt the most?" "My ankle. I think I twisted it badly." 10 minutes later, Robert West rushed into the room. Right behind him was a doctor, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. While the doctor examined Victor, Maya stood to the side. But she had no intention of leaving. "It's a bad sprain," the doctor confirmed. "A severe bruise too. We need to wrap it and keep it still. You'll need to stay in bed for several days. No walking around." "I can manage on my own," Victor started to say. But the doctor interrupted him. "You cannot be alone, Mr. Kane. You need help. Constant help and supervision. In your condition, another fall could be much worse. It could kill you." "He has me," Maya said. The words surprised even herself. "I'll take care of him." All three men stared at her in shock. "Maya, you don't have to do this," Victor began. But she raised her hand to stop him. "I am your wife, officially married. And wives take care of their husbands when they're sick. So please don't argue with me." The doctor nodded approvingly. He began giving Maya detailed instructions. She listened carefully, memorizing every single word he said. When the doctor and Robert finally left, Maya helped Victor move back onto the bed. She covered him with a warm blanket. "Why are you doing this?" he asked softly. "We both know this isn't a real marriage. Not like normal people have." Maya sat down on the edge of the bed. "Maybe it's not real in the usual way. But you helped my family. You gave my father a chance to live. I can't just stand by and watch when you're hurting." Victor Kane looked at her for a long time. Something that looked like tears shone in his visible eye. "You are truly amazing," he whispered. "David would have been just as kind and compassionate as you are." "Tell me more about him," Maya requested gently. "What was David like?" And Victor Kane told her stories. About the little boy with messy hair who loved building things with blocks. About how he dreamed of becoming an astronaut. About his laugh that sounded like music. He spoke and tears streamed down his face. The mask no longer hid them. Maya held his hand and listened quietly. And later, when he finally fell asleep, exhausted from pain and memories, she stayed. She didn't go back to her fancy room on the 3rd floor. She sat in the armchair next to his bed, watching over him, and in the morning, Maya woke up to someone covering her with a soft blanket. Opening her eyes, she saw Margaret standing there. "You sat up all night long," the housekeeper shook her head. "Go wash up and change your clothes. I'll stay with him while you're gone." But as soon as Maya stood up to leave, Victor opened his eyes. "You're still here," he said. Relief filled his voice. "I'm here," she nodded. "And I'm not going anywhere. I promise." The next several days were difficult and tiring. Maya hardly left Victor's side at all. She helped him with everything he needed. She read him books, brought him meals, helped him move around. And with each passing day, their connection grew stronger and deeper. A week passed since Victor's fall. Maya had gotten used to this new routine. She spent most of her time with him. And it didn't feel like a burden or obligation anymore. Victor turned out to be surprisingly interesting to talk to. He had traveled all over the world. He knew many languages. He understood art and music and books. Behind his cold millionaire mask was a highly educated and sensitive man who just wanted someone to care about him. That day, Maya was supposed to visit her father at the hospital. The doctor's examination showed that surgery was possible. It was scheduled for the following week. Papa looked so much better. Hope was like medicine, working wonders. "How is he?" her father asked when they were alone. "Your husband, I mean." Maya thought about the question carefully. "He's not who I thought he would be. He's a good man, Papa. Just very lonely and broken inside." "Do you love him?" her father asked gently. "No," Maya answered too quickly. "I mean, I don't know. It's not love like in the movies or books. But I'm not indifferent anymore. I care about what happens to him." Papa took her hand in his. "You know, Maya, love comes in many different ways. It doesn't always hit you like lightning in a storm. Sometimes it grows slowly, bit by bit, from caring for someone and understanding them. Maybe what you're feeling is the beginning of something real." When Maya returned to the estate that evening, she found unusual activity and noise. An unfamiliar car was parked at the entrance. In the main hall, she bumped into a tall man in his 40s wearing an expensive business suit. "And you must be Victor's new wife," he said with an unpleasant smirk on his face. "Well, I have to give my brother credit. He always did have excellent taste in beautiful things." Maya stopped walking. "Brother. Excuse me, I didn't introduce myself properly." The man extended his hand toward her. "Nathan Kane. Victor's younger brother." Though I prefer to say the less successful one, there was barely hidden jealousy in his voice. Maya shook his hand coldly. "Mr. Kane didn't mention you were coming to visit." "He didn't know," Nathan Kane smirked. "I decided to surprise my dear brother. I heard about his sudden marriage and thought I had to come congratulate him personally." "Where is Victor?" Maya asked. "In his rooms," Nathan said casually. "But he shouldn't be bothered. He recently fell, didn't he? His body is completely falling apart now." He walked past Maya toward the stairs. "Don't worry, I won't tire him out too much." Maya wanted to stop him. But at that moment, Victor's voice called out from his room. "Let him come in, Maya. He won't leave me alone until he gets what he came for." Nathan Kane entered his brother's room. Maya stayed in the hallway. But the door didn't close all the way. She couldn't help overhearing their conversation. "Well, well, brother." Nathan's voice sounded mocking and mean. "You've really gone downhill. Or is this another one of your acts?" "What do you want, Nathan?" Victor's voice sounded tired. "Can't a family member just come visit?" Nathan laughed. "I heard you married a girl young enough to be your granddaughter. Bought yourself a pretty nurse, did you? Watch your mouth when you talk about her." "Oh, what's wrong with what I said?" Nathan's laugh was cruel. "We both know the truth. You paid for her like you pay for everything. Just like you bought your first wife, Sarah. Just like you tried to buy David's love with expensive toys." "Sarah didn't marry me for money," Victor said. But there was doubt in his voice. "Keep telling yourself that comfortable lie," Nathan said. "But we both know she never loved you. And you know what's really funny? David didn't love you either. Your own son hated you, Victor. He told me so himself." Silence fell. Maya pressed her hand over her mouth to keep from crying out loud. You saw David." Victor's voice shook. "Course I saw him. Sarah called me after your divorce. We met up to talk. She wanted advice on how to handle you. And David was with her. Free kid. Too bad about the accident." There was no sadness at all in Nathan's voice. But you know what he asked me? He asked why his father was so cold and distant. Why you were never there for him. He cried, Victor. Your son cried because of you. Get out, Victor whispered. Please just get out. One more question, brother. Have you changed your will to include your young wife yet? Nathan paused. Or does she not know that the inheritance you promised her needs to be officially written down? I wonder what would happen if you didn't manage to do it. The old will is still in my name. Still valid, Maya froze. The will hadn't been changed yet. I'm meeting with a lawyer this week, Victor said. I've already arranged everything. You plan to, Nathan mocked him. But you haven't done it yet. And considering your health, you might not live long enough. Think about that. Think about how your sweet little wife might be wasting her time taking care of a dying old man. Nathan walked out of the room and nearly crashed into Maya standing in the hallway. He smirked at her. Eavesdropping. That's fine. Now you know the truth. My advice. Push him to change that will quickly. Or you might end up with nothing at all. Maya watched Nathan walk away. She felt sick to her stomach. His words echoed in her head. Push him to change the will. You might end up with nothing. She slowly walked into Victor's room. He was sitting on his bed with his back to the door. His shoulders were slumped forward. The mask lay on the nightstand. He had stopped wearing it around Maya after the night he fell. You heard everything, didn't you? It wasn't a question. Yes. Maya walked closer. Is it true? The will is still in Nathan's name. Victor Kane sighed heavily and turned to face her. His face, marked by the paralysis, looked especially sad in the dim light. I made it years ago when Nathan and I were still close. After David died, I didn't see any point in changing it. There was nobody left to give my money to. He looked directly at Maya. When you agreed to marry me, I immediately told Robert to contact my lawyer. I wanted to transfer everything to you. But the lawyer was out of town. He won't be back until the day after tomorrow. I was going to tell you. He stopped. I was afraid you'd think I was trying to buy your love. That money was all I had to offer you. Maya sat down on a chair next to the bed. Her mind was racing with thoughts. Robert had promised her the inheritance even before the wedding. So Victor really had planned to change the will from the very beginning. But what if he didn't make it in time? What if something bad happened before the meeting with the lawyer? What are you thinking about? Victor asked softly. I'm thinking Nathan is right about one thing, she admitted honestly. I really did agree to this marriage because of money. Not for myself but for my family. That makes me no better than all those other people who used you in your life. No, Victor said sharply. You're nothing like them. Nathan said those cruel things on purpose. He wants to cause trouble between us. He's always been jealous and greedy. I helped him so many times. Gave him money for his business ideas. Paid off his gambling debts. But he always wanted more. He wanted what I had, but he didn't want to work for it. He said you bought everything in life. Even Sarah. Victor Kane closed his eyes. Pain crossed his face. Maybe he's right. Maybe I did think money could solve everything and make people happy. I showered Sarah with expensive gifts. I bought her a huge house and fancy cars. I thought that was love. Giving someone everything they wanted. But I forgot the most important thing. I forgot to give her myself. My time. My attention. My heart. He opened his eyes and looked at Maya. With you, I don't want to make that same mistake again. I don't want money to be the only thing between us. But we already have a deal, Maya said. Her voice trembled. You paid for me. You bought my company. Isn't that exactly the same thing? At first, yes, Victor admitted. But now, Maya, tell me honestly. When you sat by my bed that night I fell. When you read to me and took care of me this past week. Did you do it only because I paid for your father's treatment? Or was there something more? Maya sat in silence. She didn't know what to say because she didn't fully understand her own feelings yet. When she took care of Victor, it didn't feel like work or obligation. She worried about him. She felt concerned when he was sick. But was it love? Or just pity for a lonely, dying man? I don't know, she finally admitted. I truly care about you and what happens to you. But I can't say I'm in love with you. That would be a lie. I'm not asking for love. Victor reached out and gently covered her hand with his. I'm just asking you not to leave me. To stay here with me until the end comes. Not because of the money or the will. But simply because I feel better, feel safer. Feel less alone when you're here next to me. Maya looked down at their joined hands. His palm was warm. His fingers squeezed her hand gently. In that simple touch, there was nothing demanding or forceful. Only a quiet request and a small spark of hope. All right, she whispered. I'll stay with you. I promise. They sat together like that for several minutes in comfortable silence. Then Maya carefully pulled her hand away. You need to rest now. And I need some time to think about everything. She left the room and went up to her bedroom. All night long she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, replaying every conversation in her head. By morning she had made a decision.